Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News, with a quick update on the Clayton Echard paternity scandal. New documents. Now, these documents are not new. They've been newly surfaced, right? They've been, I don't even want to use the term leaked because they're public records, but there are so many different court cases that have gone on regarding the lady that claims Clayton is the father of her unborn twins that people are still figuring out and comparing and looking at the different cases. Well, there are 3 separate cases here that I'm going to share with you where the men all shared similar sort of, stories about what went down. It's not my belief that any of them knew each other when they sort of shared their stories. It's not like they all come from the same lacrosse team and they all got their facts right. They're just 3 random guys that all had similar stories. I'm going to share what they said right here and give you an update. Follow me on Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind the scenes bonus content and Bachelor Rush Hour, the afternoon podcast. On today's episode, we cover some interesting pop culture news along with some more Bachelor stuff that we're not going to get to right here. So we've got the trends here. I'm going to read each of them for you. But this is what was shared from Clayton's, paternity hearing. I'm not even sure. He checked off the box that said no sexual intercourse. Party A and Party B were not living together and did not have sexual intercourse at the probable date of conception of the minor children. And his response was oral sex was performed, but that was all. So then he didn't say anything about the sexual intercourse. He didn't check that off. And then he checked off other with an explanation. Despite multiple requests, Party A refuses to take a paternity test. She sent me an email saying she would only take a paternity test if we were to date exclusively. See Exhibit 1. Now, this is information that has come out on the recent injunction against harassment that was that he filed against her. She won the order of protection against him. He won the injunction against harassment against her. He says that Party A, which is her, has threatened that she will write defamatory comments about this matter and release it to the press. And now we know that happened. It's only defamatory if it's not true, but that's for him to prove if he wants to prove defamation against her. Summary of what I say about paternity that is different from what the other party says. So here's what Clayton has to say in response to what she had to say. He says the entire petition is made up by Party A. There is no proof of paternity. Upon information received and belief, Party A suffers from mental health issues. I am concerned that she is stalking me. So Clayton is concerned that she is stalking him, and that's what he says in his response. Other orders I am requesting. He says, I, Clayton Echard, am requesting a court-ordered paternity test and that Party A pay all costs. I also request an award of attorney's fees pursuant to the articles. This case is groundless and lacking in merit. We never had sexual intercourse. Okay, well, that's what he has to say, and I'm going to get to what some of the other men have had to say that is similar to this in a second. I did want to respond to this 5-star rating on the podcast. Someone said, please stop talking. Please stop with the Clayton. I will start listening again when you stop with the Clayton crap. I don't believe everyone is as invested as you. It's a bit much, and he is great, but not a bachelor we really care about. His ratings probably prove that. Please let us know when you are done. The obsession is odd. And my response to that is that clearly they're not thinking of this from a greater viewpoint, where if I am to be silenced for my coverage of this Jane Doe paternity case, then I'm losing my First Amendment rights to be able to talk about something freely and share my opinions. I have not defamed this person. I have not maliciously sent anyone to harass them or harass them whatsoever myself. That's not the intention of what's going on here. But I will share with you some other thoughts that people have said. And again, and it's with all love. Someone posted that really curious if Clayton will refund the GoFundMe donations if he wins this petition to recoup his court costs. Also, I'm assuming Dave Neal could do the same since these are clearly frivolous lawsuits. Then everyone who's been attacking them for the GoFundMe could really eat their words. It's so silly how much some people hate Dave, especially. I get he's a well-off white man, but just because you have a nice car and house doesn't mean you're rich. Just means you can afford the monthly payments, which in his case I think means he's doing well, but he's no Matty Trout. They also keep linking making his YouTube videos too, so they're making him money, which is just very funny to me. Now, I rent a very small 2-bedroom place at 700 square feet. When I buy a house, it'll probably be used against me. The fact that I bought a car 3 months ago is clearly going to be used against me. That's fine. I think it's easy to see what people's motivations are when you see that. As far as like frivolous opinions go, that doesn't bother me much. Now, with response to all these people that hate me, it's really not that many people. It has been brought to my attention that there is somebody who is probably a moderator of another major subreddit, which has 300,000 people in it, right? And that moderator has alternate accounts that I've talked to privately. I've even asked them, I even said, hey, if you want to have a public debate, we could raise money, charity of your choice. Let's do some good with all of the hate that's out there, right? If you disagree with the way I'm covering this or disagree with the way I make money off of my videos or whatever, let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. But of course, that was never responded to. And these people, I think they just want to hate. I don't think there's anything that can change their opinion, which is totally fine, except for the fact that they are also gatekeepers in large communities that can then sort of encourage other people to feel the same way. You know what I mean? I'm all about free thinking here, right? So either way, that's what we're dealing with. For those that wonder why we continue talking about it, it's because it's like it's so far deep into the conversation that we're having here that we can't not talk about this. I can't take my videos down if I believe I'm doing the right thing. I have to let it play out through the court system, and that's going to cost a lot of money. Now, would I refund the money if I'm able to recoup my legal costs? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Even if I have to hand Venmo people and lose the money on the taxes or the fees or whatever, everyone will get back what they donated you know what I mean? Like, this isn't a profit-making venture. People have to understand it truly isn't. The YouTube channel, the podcast, it's a slow-moving ship. It already is doing well. It doesn't need this, right? That's not why we're here. We're here because justice has to be served. So anyway, here's what Clayton said. We just read that, and now I'm going to read for you and again, I've removed her name because there's no point in sharing it. I'm going to read the 2 other cases of what people had to say about her. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% accurate. These are the statements made from these men. My belief is that they have to make statements that are truthful and that they can't lie about these court documents. That's my belief. But by sharing what they think doesn't mean that I'm saying this is 1,000% true. These are just 3 separate times where people had very similar stories. The defendant and I went on 3 dates, the defendant being Jane Doe. We had a sexual relationship one evening. I politely ended the relationship 9 days after our first encounter. She did not take the rejection well, at which point I understood, listened, but politely let her know that there will not be a future relationship together and to stop contacting me. She continued to harass me for 48 hours. I asked her to stop reaching out. 24 hours went by with no contact. 11 days after we were sexually intimate, she sent me a photo of a positive pregnancy test, though we used 2 forms of protection during our one encounter. So unlike Clayton, this person admits that they did have sex. She continued to harass me via text messages through 14 different email accounts and iMessages, all of which I have since blocked. She threatened to reach out to my family, located them on public records, reached out to my mother, threatened to expose me on her Apple iTunes self-help podcast. She sent me photoshopped images of an ultrasound that is from an article on Google dated January 12th, 2015. I had an OBGYN confirm this ultrasound she is claiming to be hers of twins is an exact from the Google article from 2015. She has shown up to my home 2 times after being asked not to come there. After blocking all 14 iMessage accounts, which she has continuously harassed me from since July 9th, she now is reaching out to me making threats of lawsuit to my work email address. She has contacted the HR department in my company to confirm my email address and is threatening my career and reputation at my place of work as of yesterday and today. She is showing no signs of stopping. The defendant is stating she is in love with me after 3 dates, roughly 2 hours each date, and is promising to have an abortion and dismiss pressing charges if I commit to loving her, marrying her, and starting a family with her within the next 2 years. I have repeatedly asked the defendant to stop contacting myself, my family, and my place of work, and to also stop coming to my home, banging on my door, and ringing my doorbell. I have all text messages and emails saved. I also have photographs of her outside of my home trying to contact me. I am scared for my reputation and safety, and it is time to serve her a legal order of protection. Okay, so let's go to the third person here. For approximately 8 to 9 months, from April 2016 until March 2017, I was involved in a dating relationship with Petitioner being Jane Doe. During that time, Petitioner wanted a far more committed relationship than I was interested in. The allegations she had made are total fabrication from a young woman who has threatened suicide multiple times, been hospitalized for depression, and been on anxiety, depression medications. For the sake of her mental and emotional stability, I tried to work things out with her and have a friendship, but she has continued to be focused on having a permanent relationship with me, which I did not want. As shown in attachment 1, text messages between her mother and him, Petitioner has suffered from emotional issues that necessitated her placement in an inpatient facility, followed by outpatient treatment and multiple medications. Attachment 2, text messages between Petitioner's father and myself. He also acknowledges Petitioner's mental and emotional instability. In a text message dated December 2016, the father said, "Please call her and promise her anything. She wants to keep her alive, and I promise to help you get out of it as soon as she's safe. Please now." Additionally, the text messages from Petitioner to my sister in December 2016 show Petitioner as a person consumed with her love for me and her desire to make our relationship work. I ended the relationship and wanted to move on with my life. Regarding her specific claims, question 2, page 5 of 6, I was leaving a restaurant with my sister, which was 300 feet from my sister's apartment. When we were exiting, Petitioner was outside, that being Jane Doe, and immediately confronted us and called me a liar, rapist, and thief. I asked her to leave me alone and to stay out of my life, but she kept arguing. Following this encounter, she wrote my present girlfriend and made accusations about me. Regarding number 4, since before we dated, Petitioner has taken multiple medications to help with depression and anxiety. The text and all of the attachments confirm this. Towards the end of our relationship, Petitioner told me she would take horse tranquilizers to calm down. So again, And then after that, we have Clayton's, statements here. So they're all different. And I understand the court of law, like when Clayton had his injunction against harassment on Jane Doe, the judge would not allow testimony or any information from previous cases. But when you look at it from the court of public opinion, it's important to establish that there is a pattern here, that these 3 men who probably had never met before any of this went down, the only reason that they were united here was because she went to the press to create this story or to be a part of this story that initially exposed Clayton Echard when she went to the tabloid The Sun, right? So you can't, this idea that they're sealed, they're not. These are all publicly accessible. And this idea that we, date her or else she'll self-harm, it's scary. It's scary stuff, folks. I mean, she's threatened the same thing with me. She said the blood would be on my hands if she harmed herself. And I don't want her to feel that way. But at the same time, that doesn't give her a carte blanche to continue to do what I believe, in my opinion, is sort of like, I don't know exactly how to piece together these separate issues, because they're all with separate guys that she had one form of a relationship with. But clearly, it is my opinion that she could use help. And while this might sound like a crazy thing to be talking about this publicly, it is one of the reasons why we have never exposed her name or face, because I don't want her to have to deal with any extra fallout from what I believe to be is such a wild story in this entertainment news world. I don't want to use her as an example, like, see, this is why you can't believe other people or this or that. I don't believe that to be the case. I can look at this specifically and see the trend and then go, this just sounds wild. Wild. So in response to whether or not I'm obsessed, I mean, these are the types of things that you have to consider when you think about the fact that Clayton's spending thousands. I'm spending thousands. These other guys have spent thousands to go through the court system. And in all these other cases, do it privately before Clayton's comes out. And it's like, well, when's enough? And I think that's the question we're asking now. And that's something that we're going to have to find out. When is enough? As far as I know, an update on my situation, I was made aware. I'm not reading emails I get from her. I've asked her to stop emailing me and just deal with my attorney. But this past week, 1 week ago, she said she'll no longer need to do the California injunction against harassment on me because she's filing an injunction against harassment on me in Maricopa County in Arizona. Is that because she doesn't want to have to come in person to the California one? I'm truly not sure. She filed both of them. I didn't file them on her. I've never reached out to her for any reason whatsoever. And I'm going to continue to cover this story as best I see possible. But those are your updates. And for those interested, the GoFundMe, as far as refunding the money, I would love to refund it if I don't need it. But I will be spending $10,000 on a retainer this week. I already have to send that to my lawyer to continue fighting this. Whether or not my lawyer can even represent me if she does this in Arizona is a whole nother conversation. But for anyone wondering about all of this, that'll all be on the books. I will share it with all of you. I'll fully audit that to the public. You can be a part of that process as much as, as much as I'm allowed to share. And yeah, the first, I'll spend countless time and energy refunding anybody if I'm able to recoup the legal funds. Do I have a strong belief that that's going to happen? Unfortunately, I don't. I truly don't think she's going to pay for a penny of this, but fingers crossed and root for the best. Let me know what you guys think. We'll be back with more right after this.